One area that is getting unlocked, that's the offensive line. It's been one of your best units over the last month. We'll discuss them coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Jay, the offensive line put in a heck of an effort on Saturday against Alabama. This is a team that has been much maligned up front all season long. But over the last month, I think the Ole Miss game was kind of a jumping off point a little bit because they were good up until the end when they had to try to pass protect. But you started seeing some things developing in the run game there. But from there, might have hit a little bit of rock bottom. But from that point, it's just had this upward trajectory over the last month of the season. And this is with three guys that you didn't expect to be starters this year. And maybe even a fourth guy in Troy Everett you didn't necessarily expect to be a starter this year. It's been really good.
It has. You've seen the growth of the blockers. For Bichiwewu winning that award this week, SEC co-offensive lineman of the week. You saw that, and we talked about that last episode, how he kind of got done a little dirty by them, just did him a little dirty there. But, picking the wrong clip of him getting blown up on the line. But at the same time, PFF grade-wise, they graded very high in this game, especially in the pass blocking. We've only passed them all 11 times, but they did a really good job of slowing them down, especially because Alabama decided to install a three-man front, and we just ran it down their throat the entire time. And so that line was blocking like crazy, John. They did everything you needed. Bill Beatonbow, I know he's proud of the way that they've grown. Logan Hallen's gotten better, him and Heath Ozida on that left side. I had Ozida as my starting left guard coming into the season, and he's done nothing but improve throughout the year. And Logan Hallen has been a big surprise. He was expected to be more of a project because he was a transition from tight end. They were going to give him a couple of years to really grow. He's grown up in that role. After that Ole Miss game, he was like, I'm not going to let that happen to me again. And so far, he hasn't. But you know who else cared in this game, John? We talked about this after the game and on Monday. Those wide receivers, man. Mm-hmm. Your quarterback throws the ball 11 times. It's very easy to get disengaged in a game when you're not being leveraged very much, mainly because, you're not up to the caliber to be able to always, make your quarterback comfortable to throw it to you. It's not saying that they're bad, just saying your quarterback's got to be comfortable if he's going to throw the ball. They were engaged in all the blocks. I mean, there was one play that I was watching from the game, and it's a highlight that's been going around of Jackson Arnold running, and Kirk Herbstreit was talking about it on the broadcast. He pointed out that whenever you have an edge that crashes down super hard and goes straight to the running back, you usually have a linebacker on the other side waiting. And Lawson wasn't playing in the game at that point for Alabama, so they had one of their younger linebackers who was 100% out of position. But Jackson faked the handoff. Xavier Robinson gets lit. He runs to the outside, and guess who's there waiting for him? J.J. Hester, providing a pancake, just knocking a dude down to the ground, and Jackson runs around him and gets a first down. You saw that all game long, John. That's what you saw out of this wide receiver room. Every single one of them. Zion Kearney was engaged in some heavy blocking. You saw J.J. Hester. You saw Brendan Thompson. All of them were lighting folks up. That, to me, warms my heart and tells me, guess what? This team's ready. This team's ready going forward.
Well, and the tight end group, I thought, had maybe one of their best games blocking as well.
Yeah, true.
Jackson Arnold's big run up the middle, between the right guard and the right tackle. Well, Bauer Sharp provided the lead block that kind of sprung that. In previous games, he has not been as impactful as a blocker, but I think he's gotten better as the season's gone along. And it takes everybody. When you're running for 257 yards in a game in which you're only throwing the ball 11 times and you're deciding you're going to run the ball 50 times, it takes everybody. The offensive line was really good, but all the guys around that, Xavier Robinson in the run game, Gavin Sawchuk in the run game, those guys having to block, did a really good job. Bauer Sharp, Jake Roberts, I thought they were really good. You mentioned the wide receivers. They were really good. Even young guys like Zion Kearney, he got into the action, and I thought he did a really good job blocking out on the perimeter as well. So listen, that's a testament to, again, we talked about the culture yesterday when discussing the future of the program. Wide receivers want to catch the ball. Wide receivers want to be targeted. That is just the nature of the position. That's why you see so many wide receivers going off on the sidelines or looking disinterested or pouting at times when they're not getting the football. We got a group of wide receivers that aren't getting the ball much. And because we know that the best way forward for our offense is just to run the rock and to lean heavily into the quarterback run game. And that's just the way it's going to be. But you don't see those guys, as you mentioned, they are engaged. They're interested. They want to work. They're putting the work in. They're not out there, throwing their hands up because they're not getting thrown the ball. They're not out there, hands on their hips, putting their head down, shaking their head, yelling at the quarterback. They're not doing any of that stuff.
Throwing a fit.
They're team guys. These are program guys. Brennan Thompson, JJ Hester, Zion Kearney, whoever else got wide receiver snaps on Saturday. They're just out there. Jacob Jordan, they're just out there just doing the work. And that's a testament to Emmett Jones getting these guys to buy in. We've talked about it for years about Emmett Jones and what he's been able to do with the wide receiver room. I think the biggest thing that he's been able to do is just create buy-in to whatever the game plan requires. And they're showing up every single week and they're putting that work in. And again, Bill Bedenbaugh, he's been under a lot of fire this season for some of the inconsistencies along the offensive line. Well, you can't blame necessarily a guy for all of the injuries that have happened. Would you have liked that development to happen quicker? Maybe. But sometimes you got to get guys into the game. You got to let them make mistakes. I think Logan Howland is evidence of that. Get him into a game, let him work out the kinks, and now we're seeing the fruits of that. Keith Ozida, another one of those guys. You got to get him in the game. Got to let him continue to work and get better, get tape, and see where he has to improve. It's all coming together. I mean, it's coming together.
That's true.
And it's coming together at the right time, because when you go into Baton Rouge and you want to be able to impose your will, you want to take the crowd out of the game, the best way to do that is to employ a similar game plan that you just had against Alabama. And that's just convert first down after first down after first down, keep the ball. And eventually that crowd is just gonna be like, why are we going to keep yelling? They're not getting stops. And if Oklahoma can have the same efficiency this week against LSU that they had against Alabama, they're going to be in for a good night.
And one thing I've been to Death Valley before, and I've watched them get blown out by the opposition, and that crowd will quickly get quiet and quickly go away. Now, best part is we're playing at prime time at night in Death Valley. I am super stoked. I'm going to be down there for that. And yeah, if you do all the stuff, as you mentioned, if you suck the energy out of them, which is almost kind of easy to do. Oh yeah, it's going to be like, it'll be completely different for you at that point. It's when you walk in there, it's going to be like, oh yeah, this is nothing. Now, Jackson Arnold did put a target on his back. Talked about he's excited about playing at night at LSU. That's what he's here for. All right, my boy, you better show it. Because if you don't, they coming for you regardless. But you better show it this time. Prove to us that you don't mind that target being on your back. Show us that you're comfortable with it and you're ready to show up and show out.
Yeah, the last time you mentioned going on the road and being excited about it, the Missouri game happened, and it was
it should have been a win. We should be 7-4 right now.
Oh gosh, dang. But there's a lot of people shaking their head in the SEC after this past weekend. We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.